The reason you are currently sitting there in a state of paralysis, watching your life slip through your fingers like sand, is not because you are tired or because you lack some magical spark of inspiration that the rest of us possess, but because you have fundamentally failed to realize that. Laziness is not a condition you suffer from, but a choice you are making every single second of your existence. You have been coddled by a society that wants you soft, compliant, and stationary, because a man who is too lazy to move is a man who is easy to control and even easier to ignore. You are currently drowning in a sea of cheap dopamine, hooked on the blue light of your smartphone and the processed garbage in your refrigerator, and you wonder why the fire in your soul has gone out when you are the one who has been pouring buckets of ice water on it for years. I am here to tell you that there is no such thing as a lazy person. There are only people who lack a mission worth dying for, and people who have no respect for the absolute brutality of the world they live in. If you truly understood the level of competition that is out there right now, if you could see the men who are waking up at 4 in the morning to outwork you, outthink you, and take every single opportunity that should have been yours, you wouldn't be able to sit still for another second. You are currently playing a game of life where the stakes are your legacy and your bloodline, yet you are playing like you have an infinite number of respawns, when the truth is that once your time is up, it is gone forever. The Matrix has convinced you that you need to find your passion or wait for the right mood to strike before you take action, but the elite know that the mood is irrelevant and the passion is found in the pursuit. The world does not care how you feel. The universe does not pause its rotation because your heart is heavy or your mind is clouded by the fog of indecision. You have been lied to by an educational system that taught you to raise your hand for permission, and by a corporate structure that rewards you for showing up rather than for winning. But in the real world, in the arena where the lions feast and the sheep are slaughtered, nobody is giving out participation trophies. You are either the hunter or the prey, and every hour you spend in bed negotiating with your alarm clock is another hour you have volunteered to be the victim. You think you are resting, but you are actually decaying. You think you are taking a break, but you are actually allowing your muscles to atrophy and your mind to become a playground for the ghosts of your own inadequacy. Every single time you say you will do it tomorrow, you are effectively telling the universe that your dreams are not worth the effort of today. You are making a blood pact with mediocrity, and the interest on that debt is your soul. You need to develop a level of disgust for your current state that is so potent it acts as a permanent fuel. You should look in the mirror and be offended by the softness of your jawline and the emptiness of your gaze. You should be sickened by the fact that you have potential you haven't even touched because you are too busy seeking comfort. Comfort is the silent killer of all greatness. It is the velvet-lined coffin that you are building for yourself, one Netflix episode and one video game at a time. The Matrix wants you in that coffin. It wants you sedated by porn and pills and pathetic digital distractions so that you never look up and realize that the walls of your prison are made of your own excuses. You need to break the cycle of emotional slavery. If you only work when you feel like working, you are a slave to your emotions. And a man who is ruled by his feelings is a man who can never be trusted with power. A king does not decide to lead based on his morning mood. A warrior does not decide to defend his borders based on whether he had a good night's sleep. Discipline is the ability to do what you know you must do, regardless of how you feel about it. It is the highest form of self-love because it is the only path to self-respect. You cannot respect a man who breaks his word, and if you are constantly breaking your word to yourself by skipping the gym or failing to start that business, you will never truly believe in your own capacity to win. This lack of belief is why you are paralyzed. You are waiting for confidence to arrive like a delivery driver, but confidence is a byproduct of competence, and competence is earned through the repetitive, boring, and often painful application of effort. Speed is the ultimate weapon in this war. The world moves at the speed of thought, and if you are stuck in the thinking phase while others are in the implementation phase, you have already lost. Most of you spend weeks researching a topic that could be understood in an afternoon. You spend months planning a journey that should have started with the first step the moment the idea hit your brain. This delay is a form of arrogance. You are acting as if you have forever to get it right. You are acting as if the window of opportunity will stay open indefinitely. It won't. The door is closing, and it is closing fast. Every second you spend hesitating is a second your competition uses to sharpen their blade. You need to move with an urgency that makes the people around you uncomfortable. You need to be the person who responds in seconds and executes in minutes. Implementation speed is the differentiator between the man who owns the building and the man who cleans the windows. If you can shorten the gap between the thought and the action to zero, you become an unstoppable force. Laziness cannot survive in an environment of high-speed motion. It requires stillness to grow. It requires the stagnant water of your indecision to breed the mosquitoes of your doubt. So move. Move even if you are moving in the wrong direction, because it is easier to steer a moving vehicle than a stationary one. Look at your circle and realize that you are the average of the people you allow into your space. If you are surrounded by men who complain about the economy, who talk about sports instead of stocks, and who celebrate the weekend like it is a release from prison, then you are destined to stay in that prison with them. Mediocrity is a contagious disease, and your friends are the primary vectors of infection. You need to find the winners. You need to find the men who are obsessed with growth and who view every day as a tactical operation to expand their influence. These men will not coddle you. They will not tell you it is okay to take a day off. They will hold you to a standard that is so high it will make you want to quit, but if you stay, you will become something you never thought possible. You need to be the smallest fish in the biggest pond until you grow large enough to swallow the pond whole. Stop being the king of the losers and start being the apprentice of the legends. Your network is your net worth, not just in terms of money, but in terms of the mental models you adopt. If everyone in your room thinks $1 million is a lot of money, you will never make 100 million. You need to be in rooms where people talk about changing the world and where the atmosphere is thick with the scent of ambition. The reality of the male experience is that your value is not inherent, it is built. A woman and a child can be loved unconditionally, but a man is loved only under the condition that he provides something of value. This is not a tragedy, it is a gift. It means that you have the power to create your own value. You can take the raw materials of your life and forge them into a masterpiece. But this forging requires fire, and it requires a hammer. You must be willing to put yourself in the furnace of high-pressure situations, and you must be willing to take the blows of failure until you are hardened into steel. Most men are terrified of this process. They want the result without the heat. They want the crown without the weight. But the weight is what gives the crown its meaning. Every struggle you face is an opportunity to prove that you are the man you say you are. If life is easy right now, you are failing. You are stagnating. You should be seeking out the hardest path, because the hardest path is the one with the least competition. Everyone is crowding the easy road, but the high mountain passes are empty because most people are too afraid of the thin air and the steep climbs. That is where you belong. You need to understand that the modern world is designed to feminize you and make you a passive observer of your own life. You are encouraged to express your feelings and seek help and wait for the system to provide for you. This is a trap. The system does not want you strong. It wants you dependent. It wants you to be a tax-paying unit that never questions the narrative. Sovereignty is the only goal worth pursuing. Financial sovereignty so that no boss can tell you when to wake up. Physical sovereignty so that no illness or attacker can easily take you down. Mental sovereignty so that no propaganda can sway your focus from your mission. Building this level of independence requires an obsession that looks like madness to the average person. They will call you a workaholic. They will say you are out of balance. They will tell you that you are missing out on the small joys of life. Let them. Their small joys are just distractions from their large failures. Your joy will come from the realization of your own power. Your joy will come from seeing your bank account grow, your body transform, and your influence expand until you are a gravity well that pulls opportunities toward you. Stop negotiating with your own weakness. Every morning you have a debate with the part of yourself that wants to stay in bed. That part of you is a traitor. It is a spy for the enemy sent to sabotage your mission before it even begins. You should not be listening to its arguments. You should be executing it. The moment the thought of quitting enters your mind, you must attack the task with double the intensity. If your brain says you are tired, do 10 more reps. If your brain says you have worked enough for today, stay at the desk for another hour. You must train your mind to realize that its complaints will only lead to more work. Eventually, your mind will stop complaining and start complying. This is the definition of mental toughness. It is not something you are born with, it is something you build through thousands of tiny victories over your own impulses. You are in a war for your own potential, and the casualties are the versions of you that could have been great but were too lazy to try. Think about your ancestors. Think about the men who survived wars, famines, and plagues just so that you could exist today. They did not struggle through the mud of history so that you could sit on a couch and watch porn while eating soy-filled snacks. You are the culmination of thousands of years of survival and conquest. You carry the DNA of winners. Act like it. You have a duty to your bloodline to be the best version of yourself that has ever lived. You have a duty to the future generations of your family to build a foundation of wealth and strength that will protect them for centuries. If you are lazy, you are spitting on the graves of your ancestors and you are stealing from the mouths of your children. This is not a game. This is a serious responsibility. You need to become the patriarch of your family. You need to be the man that everyone turns to when things go wrong, because they know you are the only one with the resources and the mental fortitude to fix it. This level of reliability is the highest honor a man can achieve. The Matrix uses fear as its primary tool of control. It wants you afraid of being canceled, afraid of going broke, and afraid of being alone. But once you realize that you can survive anything, the fear loses its power. You should be more afraid of being average than of being broke. You should be more afraid of being forgotten than of being hated. Hatred is a sign that you are doing something right. It means you have a position and a presence that cannot be ignored. The only people who are not hated are the people who don't matter. If you are making waves, there will be resistance. Embrace it. Use the friction of the world to sharpen your resolve. Every time someone tells you that you can't do something or that you are being too aggressive, use that energy as fuel. Prove them wrong, not by arguing with them, but by succeeding so loudly that they have to cover their ears. Your success is the best revenge, and your silence is the best response to critics. Let your results do the talking while you focus on the next conquest. You must realize that there are no days off in the pursuit of an empire. The idea of a weekend is a socialist construct designed to keep the workforce from becoming too powerful by forcing them to reset their momentum every 5 days. If you want to be free, you must work while others are resting. You must study while others are partying. You must be in the gym while others are sleeping. This is not about being a martyr, it is about being a predator. A predator does not take a day off from being a predator. It is always looking for an opening and always ready to strike. Your mission is your life, and if you separate your life from your mission, you will become lost. You should be so integrated with your work that it doesn't feel like work anymore. It feels like breathing. It feels like the natural expression of your existence. When you reach this level of obsession, laziness becomes a physical impossibility because you are always in a state of high-speed flow. Look at your environment and audit everything. If your room is messy, your mind is messy. If your clothes are cheap and ill-fitting, your self-image will be cheap and ill-fitting. You need to dress like a man who is going to war, and you need to live in an environment that reflects your standards. Surround yourself with objects that remind you of your goals and your potential. Get rid of anything that reminds you of your past failures or your current mediocrity. You are a biological machine, and your inputs determine your outputs. If you feed your mind garbage, you will produce garbage results. If you feed your mind the strategies of winners and the philosophy of the greats, you will produce greatness. Stop consuming entertainment and start consuming education. Every YouTube video you watch should be a tutorial on how to get richer, stronger, or smarter. If it's not contributing to your mission, it is an attack on your mission. Be ruthless with your time because it is the only asset you cannot replenish. You say you want to be successful, but your actions show that you are in love with your current situation. If you truly hated your life, you would change it today. The reason you haven't changed is because you have found a way to tolerate your misery. You have found a way to make excuses for your lack of progress. You blame the government, you blame your parents, you blame the economy, but you never blame the man in the mirror. Radical ownership is the first step to freedom. Everything that happens to you is your fault. If someone hits your car, it's your fault for being at that intersection at that time. If your business fails, it's your fault for not seeing the market shift. This mindset might seem harsh, but it is the most empowering philosophy you can adopt. Because if everything is your fault, then everything is within your power to change. If you are the problem, then you are also the solution. Stop waiting for a savior and start being the savior. Nobody is coming to rescue you. No one is going to hand you a bag of money, and no one is going to do your push-ups for you. It is all on your shoulders, and that is exactly how it should be. The pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret is permanent. Discipline lasts for an hour in the gym or a day at the office, but regret lasts for a lifetime. Imagine yourself at 80 years old looking back at your life. Do you want to be the man who tried and failed, or the man who was too afraid to even try? The man who failed can sleep with a clean conscience because he knows he gave everything he had to the struggle. The man who didn't try is haunted by the ghost of his own potential. He is forced to live with the question of what could have been. That question is the most agonizing form of torture. Avoid it at all costs. Suffer now so that you don't have to suffer later. Embrace the grind and learn to love the taste of your own sweat and blood. It is the price of entry into the club of the elite. If it were easy, everyone would be there, and if everyone were there, it wouldn't be worth anything. You need to become a man of action who doesn't require permission to be great. The world is full of background characters who are waiting for someone to tell them what to do. They wait for the right certification, the right job offer, or the right sign from the universe. Winners don't wait, they take. They see an opportunity and they grab it before anyone else even realizes it's there. They make mistakes and they fix them on the fly. They don't seek consensus because they know that the majority is always wrong. If the majority were right, everyone would be rich and happy. The fact that most people are poor and miserable is proof that you should be doing the opposite of what everyone else is doing. If everyone is going left, you go right. If everyone is buying, you sell. If everyone is resting, you work. This contrarian mindset is the key to outsized returns in every area of life. You have to be willing to be misunderstood and even mocked for a while, because that is the price of being ahead of the curve. Your physical body is a vessel for your mind, and if your vessel is weak, your mind will be limited. You cannot be a mental giant in a physical midget's body. You need to train until your body is a weapon. You need to have the strength to defend your ideas and the stamina to outwork your competitors. A man who is in peak physical condition has a level of natural confidence that cannot be faked. It comes from the knowledge that he has mastered his own biology. When you look like a warrior, people treat you like a warrior. They listen to you more and they respect you more. Do not neglect your training. The gym is the laboratory where you prove to yourself every single day that you can endure pain and overcome resistance. It is the foundation of your discipline. If you can't force yourself to lift a heavy weight, you will never force yourself to make a difficult business decision. Everything is connected. The highest level of human existence is found in the pursuit of the impossible. You should have goals that are so large they make your current friends uncomfortable. If your goals don't scare you, they aren't big enough. If they don't require you to become a completely different person, then you are aiming too low. You need to reinvent yourself every single day until you are the man who can handle the weight of the crown you want to wear. This requires a level of arrogance that most people will call toxic, but that arrogance is just a shield against the mediocrity of the masses. You have to believe you are the best before you are the best, so that you have the confidence to do the work required to get there. Don't wait for validation and don't wait for permission, because the only person who can give you permission is the man in the mirror. Get up right now and start moving, because time is the only thing you can't buy back, and you are currently wasting it like it is infinite. It is not infinite, and your clock is ticking faster than you think so. Make every second count and leave a mark on this world that can never be erased. You have to develop a relationship with failure where you see it as a coach rather than an enemy, because every time you fail, you are getting a free lesson in what not to do. The people who are afraid to fail are the people who stay exactly where they are for their entire lives, and that is the true failure. I want you to be the guy who fails 1,000 times but keeps coming back, because eventually the universe will get tired of trying to stop you and it will just step out of the way. This is the secret to everything, and it is the only way to live a life that is actually worth living. You are either a hammer or an anvil, and if you don't want to be hit, you need to start hitting back with everything you've got. The Matrix is real, and it is designed to keep you poor and weak, and the only way to escape is to become so powerful that the rules no longer apply to you. This starts with your mind, and it ends with your bank account and your physical form, so don't neglect any area of your development. You need to be a polymath of the modern age, and a warrior who can also think, and a thinker who can also fight. This is a standard, and anything less is just an excuse for being average. Break the chains of your own making, and start building the life you were meant to live, because nobody else is going to do it for you, and the time is now. You must understand that the modern world is a psychological operation designed to keep you in a state of perpetual childhood, where you seek safety over sovereignty and comfort over character. You have to be the one to break that spell by embracing the cold and the dark and the difficult, because that is where your soul is hardened. If you never face a storm, you will never know if your ship is seaworthy, and most of you are just sailing in a bathtub thinking you are explorers. Get out into the deep water where the waves are high and the risks are real, because that is where the gold is buried, and that is where the legends are made. You need to stop being so afraid of being judged by people who are already dead inside and start being afraid of being the man who never tried. The judgment of the masses is just noise, but the judgment of your own conscience is a life sentence, so make sure you are living in a way that allows you to look yourself in the eye every single night. You are a biological machine designed for conquest, and if you aren't conquering something, you will start to rot from the inside out. This is why you feel anxious and why you feel depressed, because you are living against your own nature. You are meant to build and to lead and to protect and to expand, but instead you are just consuming and following and hiding and shrinking. Turn it around today and start being the man you know you are capable of being, because the world is waiting for you to take your place at the table and the seat is getting cold. Don't let someone else sit in your chair just because you were too lazy to claim it. The history of the world is written by the men who showed up and stayed when everyone else left, and you need to be one of those men. It doesn't matter how many times you fall as long as you are the one who gets up last, and if you can do that, then you have already won. The game is long and the obstacles are many, but the reward is a life of absolute freedom, and that is the only thing worth fighting for. So stop complaining and start working, and don't stop until the job is done, and then find a bigger job and start again. This is the G Code, and this is the only way to live. Every morning when you wake up, you are entering a battlefield where the enemy is your own lethargy and the distractions of the world, and if you don't have a plan, you have already lost. You need to have a routine that is so disciplined that it doesn't matter if you feel like a king or a peasant, you still execute the same way. This is how you build a life that is resistant to the fluctuations of the world, and how you stay on top when everyone else is falling apart. You need to be the anchor for the people around you and the person who stays calm when the world is in flames. This level of stoicism is not something you are born with, it is something you forge through repeated exposure to stress and pressure. So stop avoiding the things that make you uncomfortable and start seeking them out like they are the most valuable things on earth. The more you can handle, the more you will be given. And if you want to have a big life, you need to have big shoulders. Build those shoulders today through hard work and heavy lifting and the refusal to quit. You are the architect of your own reality, and if you don't like the building you are living in, then tear it down and build a new one. You have the tools and you have the time, and the only thing you lack is the will, so find that will and use it to change your world and never look back. The past is a graveyard and you shouldn't be living there, so focus on the future and the man you are becoming. Every second is a new opportunity to be better than you were a second ago, and if you take enough of those opportunities, you will eventually be unrecognizable. This is the process of transformation and is the most beautiful thing a human can experience. So go out there and transform yourself into a god among men, and don't stop until you reach the stars. You need to realize that every obstacle in your path is not a wall but a stepping stone, and the higher the stone, the further you can see. If your life is difficult right now, it just means you are being prepared for a bigger stage and a bigger mission. Don't pray for an easy life, pray for the strength to endure a difficult one, and the wisdom to use that difficulty to your advantage. The most successful people in history are the ones who were hit the hardest but refused to stay down. You need to have that same resilience and that same refusal to be broken. The world is going to try to break you, and it is going to try to make you stay in your place, but you have to be the one to say no. You have to be the one to decide that you are not going to be another statistic and that you are going to be the exception to the rule. This requires a level of self-belief that borders on delusion, but that is what it takes to change the world. You have to believe in your own greatness long before anyone else does, and you have to work as if it is already true. This is the only way to manifest the life you want, and it is the only way to truly be free. So stop waiting for someone to tell you that you are ready, and just start. Start where you are and use what you have and do what you can and never ever give up. The world is yours for the taking, but you have to be the one to take it. No one is going to hand it to you on a silver platter, and no one is going to give you a head start. You have to earn every single inch of ground you take, and you have to defend it with your life. This is the reality of the world, and it is the only way to win. So get ready for the fight of your life and don't stop until you are the last one standing. This is the way of the warrior, and it is the way of the king. Now go out there and claim your destiny, and don't let anyone or anything stand in your way. You are a force of nature and you are capable of anything if you only have the courage to try. So try and fail and try again and keep trying until you win, because that is the only thing that matters. The result is just a byproduct of the process, and the process is the fight. So love the fight and love the struggle and love the pain, because they are the things that make you who you are, and who you are is a legend in the making. Go out there and make it happen. The clock is ticking and the world is watching, so don't let them down, and more importantly, don't let yourself down. You have one life and one chance to make it count, so don't waste it on being average. Be extraordinary and be legendary, and be the man you were born to be. The time is now, and the place is here, so get to work and never look back, because the only direction that matters is forward toward the horizon of your own absolute dominance. When you look at the successful men who occupy the highest echelons of society, you must realize they are not there by accident. They are there because they have mastered the art of mental warfare. They understand that the mind is a battlefield and that every thought is either a soldier fighting for you or a saboteur working against you. Most people have an army of saboteurs running loose in their heads. They allow themselves to think about failure, to think about what other people think of them, and to think about how tired they are. Winners do not have this luxury. They have purged their minds of all weakness. They have created a mental environment where only victory is allowed to exist as a possibility. You need to develop this same level of mental hygiene. Stop letting toxic thoughts into your consciousness. Stop entertaining the idea that you might not make it. If you want to win, you must burn the boats. You must create a situation where there is no retreat and no option but to move forward and conquer. This is how empires are built, not through hope or wishes, but through the cold-blooded execution of a superior strategy. You need to cultivate an aura of competence that precedes you wherever you go. This aura is not something you can buy or fake. It is a radiation of the work you have done in the dark. It is the result of the thousands of hours you spent honing your skills while everyone else was sleeping. When you walk into a room, people should feel the weight of your presence before you even speak. They should know instinctively that you are a man of consequence and a man of action. This level of respect is only afforded to those who have proven themselves in the crucible of reality. You must be willing to be the man who stays the longest and works the hardest. You must be willing to be the one who takes the risks that no one else will take. This is how you differentiate yourself from the masses. This is how you become a leader of men. You lead by example, not by words. You show the world what is possible through your own transformation and your own triumphs. The importance of wealth cannot be overstated in this world. Money is not just currency, it is energy, and it is freedom. It is the ability to protect your family and the ability to influence the world according to your values. If you are poor, you are limited. You are subject to the whims of others, and you are vulnerable to the fluctuations of the system. You have a moral obligation to be rich. You have a duty to secure the resources necessary to live a life of significance. Building wealth requires a fundamental shift in how you view the world. You must stop being a consumer and start being a producer. You must stop thinking about what you can get and start thinking about what you can provide. Value is the only thing the market rewards. If you can provide more value than anyone else, you will be rewarded with more wealth than anyone else. This is a simple law of economics that most people ignore because they are too busy looking for a shortcut. There are no shortcuts. There is only the long-term, consistent application of value to the marketplace. You must be willing to suffer the isolation that comes with greatness. As you ascend the mountain, the air gets thinner and the crowd gets smaller. You will find that many of the people you started with are no longer able to keep up with you. They will try to pull you back down to their level because your progress is a constant reminder of their own failure. They will call you arrogant or distant or obsessed. They will tell you that you have changed as if that is a bad thing. Changing is the whole point. If you are the same person today that you were last year, you have wasted 12 months of your life. Embrace the loneliness of the peak. It is better to be alone at the top than to be surrounded by losers at the bottom. In time, you will find new peers men who move at your speed and who share your standards. Until then, focus on your mission and don't let